Hi everyone, it's me here at the channel. Have you ever wondered why coal is such an important source of energy around the world? Or perhaps you know someone who's studying rocks and minerals? Well, there's a good chance they've heard of the Carboniferous Period. But did you know it was also home to some of the largest insects ever known to science? That's right. Over 300 million years ago, Earth's land masses were crawling with monstrous millipedes, gigantic dragonflies, and other nightmarish arthropods. Today we'll be taking a closer look at these creepy crawlies and trying to figure out how they grew so big. Welcome back to the channel. First, let's take a closer look at the Carboniferous Period itself. Geologists divide the history of our planet into different eras and periods, which helps us understand how life on Earth has changed over time. The Carboniferous lasted from about 359 to 299 million years ago, making it one of the longest periods in Earth's history. It gets its name from the abundance of coal or Carboniferous in Latin, which scientists believed formed from the huge swamp forests that dominated the land. But life on Earth was very different during this time. In fact, some of the earliest forests contained some of the weirdest plants alive today, like club mosses and horsetails. The forests were mostly made up of tall trees called lycopods. Although today's lycopods are tiny plants found in gardens and woods, their Carboniferous ancestors reached heights of 30 meters or more. But what about the scariest inhabitants of all, the giant insects? Well, the first thing you should know about these creatures is that they weren't just huge, they were also numerous. Scientists estimate that due to the warmer climate and abundance of plants, insects thrived during the Carboniferous. They occupied every available ecological niche, meaning there was an enormous diversity of insects. Take, for example, the enormous dragonfly known as Meganeura. The biggest insect during the Carboniferous had a wingspan of nearly 70 centimeters, which is about the same as a modern seagull. It was also one of the top predators in the sky, feeding mainly on other insects, but occasionally even hunting fish. In fact, scientists believe Meganeuras were active hunters, chasing down their prey underwater. When not flying, they probably waddled around on 6 legs like a very large bird. Just imagine seeing one of these strange creatures flapping toward you out of the corner of your eye as you walk through the forest. Would you be scared? Let us know in the comments below. While Meganeuras ruled the skies, other insects crawled along the forest floor. The most famous of these is probably Arthropleura, the giant millipede. Scientists believe these bizarre creatures could grow over 2 meters long and half a meter wide. That's as long as a car and twice as wide. To put that into perspective, the longest millipede living today is only about 33 centimeters long. But how did arthropods get so big? Well, researchers believe it all has to do with oxygen. During the Carboniferous, the Earth's atmosphere contained between 24 and 35% oxygen. By comparison, the highest concentration of oxygen ever recorded in the modern atmosphere is 31.5%. Today, oxygen makes up only 21% of the air we breathe. With so much oxygen in the air, insects breathe through small holes in their exoskeletons, allowing them to grow much larger than anything alive today. Unfortunately for arthropods, oxygen levels gradually decreased throughout the Carboniferous. As a result, the largest insects only lived during the first half of the period. As the oxygen level dropped, so did their size. But oxygen levels weren't the only factor affecting the growth of insects. Scientists have also discovered evidence that fungi helped control their size. During the Carboniferous, there was a rapid diversification of fungi, and many of them were parasitic. In other words, they fed off arthropods. By exploiting insects, these fungi may have prevented any one species from growing to large and dominating the environment. It wasn't just millipedes and dragonflies that grew supersized during the Carboniferous. There were also giant spiders and scorpions. Take, for example, the scorpion, which looked very similar to modern-day scorpions, but grew up to 1 meter long. A truly gigantic arthropod. So you can probably guess that a bite from one of these monsters would be absolutely painful. In fact, researchers believe that giant scorpions used their large size to help them regulate their body temperature. By basking in the sun, they could warm up their bodies and then use their bulk to retain that heat. Then when they started to overheat, they could lurk in the shade and slowly cool down. So what happened to these giant insects and arachnids? At the end of the Carboniferous, the Earth's climate began to change. Dry land became more widespread, resulting in drier climates and less swampy forests. This, combined with decreasing oxygen levels, meant the end of giant insects. The coal swamps were gone, and with them, the gigantic creatures that ruled the land. As the climate changed, so did life on Earth. The Carboniferous came to an end 300 million years ago, making way for the Permian period. The age of giant insects may have ended, but their fossils live on. They've been found in Europe, Asia, Africa, and North America. Most remarkably, many of these fossils have been found in coal mines. Next time you turn on a light, think about the possibility that you might be lighting up a fossil of a giant insect preserved in coal. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll find even bigger creatures from Earth's history. For now, though, the age of dinosaurs awaits in our next video. Click here to learn about the terrifying truth behind the dinosaur, killer, asteroid, or click here to watch another video you might like.